Okay, I think most of the participants joined, so let's start. And again, welcome to our webinar on financial incentives for repair, from national success stories to a European framework. I'm Luisa Denta, working on resource policy and circular economy at Germanwatch. And Germanwatch is also a proud member of the Right to Repair Europe campaign, who organized this webinar. Today, we want to discuss what can be learned from repair funding schemes that are already implemented at national level in the European Union, especially for the directive on common rules promoting the repair of goods, or more easier called the Right to Repair proposal, that shall be established in the European Union. Before we start this discussion, some housekeeping rules. We have a question and answer section. So in case you have any questions that you want us to pose to the speakers, just write them in the question and answers section. It would be nice if you could introduce yourself when you have a question so that you know from whom the question is. And if you see a question that you think is interesting as well, you can upvote the question so that we can select them. Because depending on the questions, on the number of questions, we will select some of them and then ask them directly to the speakers. So if you upvote a question, the probability increases that it will actually be asked. For your information, the webinar is being recorded and will later be posted online. In case you have any technical concerns or questions, you can always write to João and Christina from Right to Repair Europe. Okay, so yeah, as probably many of us know who are now in this room, the European Commission put forward a proposal for a Right to Repair directive in March 2023. In this proposal, unfortunately, financial incentives for repair were not part of it or didn't play a role. But there's hope, because the European Parliament is currently debating the directive and seeks to find a position as soon as possible, so ideally by autumn. So hopefully, yeah, the directive can be passed before the elections in June next year, and we hope that financial incentives will play a role, but we will discuss how this could be done and why this should be done in this webinar. So in several European Union member states, namely Austria, the state of Turin in Germany, and France, there are already financial incentive schemes for repair existing, and they are already implemented. And today we want to learn how they actually work, how they are implemented, and also what are already learnings out of these repair schemes of the national level that may be used for the European Union framework, and also for other repair schemes, repair funding schemes at national level. Therefore, we are very happy to discuss these questions with 3 out of 6 parliamentarians who are mainly responsible for the Right to Repair proposal in the Parliament. So René Repasi from the Socialists and Democrats in the European Parliament is, let's say, the chief rapporteur, and he already put forward a draft of what he would like to include in the Right to Repair proposal. He will later explain his ideas and how he seeks to include financial incentives for repair. So we are looking forward to this. And Anna Cavazzini from the Greens, and also a shadow rapporteur on the file, will join us as well. She's also the chair of the Committee on the Internal Market and Consumer Protection in the Parliament. She will join us at about 4:30, so she's not here yet, but she will join. And then there's Anne-Sophie Pelletier from the left. She's also working on the Right to Repair proposal as a shadow rapporteur, and we will also hear from her what she thinks about financial incentives for repair. But before we hear the parliamentarians, we want to learn more about how financial incentives can be implemented on the national level and what we can learn for the Right to Repair directive. And we have a lot of expertise here on the national repair funding schemes. We will learn about the funding schemes in Austria, Turin, and in France. And as the first country to actually implement a repair bonus, so kind of the front runner in Europe, it was Austria. So welcome Birgit Horvath from the Austrian Ministry for Climate Protection in the Department of Waste Prevention. So the Ministry of Climate Protection is the ministry who's responsible for the repair bonus. Thanks for taking the time. Unfortunately, her video is not working today, but we will see her slides and her voice. We will hear her voice. So, Birgit Horvath, in 7 minutes, how does the national repair incentive work in Austria, and what are also the lessons that you have already learned since its creation?
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you very much for giving me the floor in this webinar on financial incentives for repair to present the Austrian repair bonus subsidy. Unfortunately, I had some issues with my camera, so you can't see me, but at least you can hear me, and I hope you can follow perfectly my presentation. So before we get started, I want to share some PowerPoint slides with you, so please bear with me just for a second.
We still don't see your presentation, but your email. Now it's better.
Okay, just a minute. Now you're supposed to see my PowerPoint slides, and let's get started. So first of all, I want to start with some basic information for you. Well, the repair bonus is overall an Austrian subsidy by the Federal Ministry of Climate Change for the repair of electrical and electronic devices commonly used in private households, for home, for garden, and for leisure. The total budget of the subsidy is 130 million euros, and it is totally financed by the EU Recovery Fund Next Generation EU from 22 to 26. And the Austrian Recovery and Resilience Plan is the cornerstone of this recovery fund, the Next Generation EU in Austria, and it gives an overview of all the nationwide implementation steps. And one of its actions was the development and the implementation of such an Austrian-wide repair bonus subsidy. So the repair bonus subsidy was launched last year in April. And since that, we are 15 months, almost 15 months live with the repair bonus. The main goal of the subsidy is to increase the number of repairs, as well as to reduce the generation of waste from electrical and electronic devices, to extend the use phase of these products, and also to strengthen the repair sector as a whole. So now coming to your first question. This is how the Austrian repair bonus works. So it was of main concern of my ministry to develop a subsidy application process, which is quite simple and doesn't take much time. This was actually a completely new thing. So we decided to implement the repair bonus as follows. First of all, if you want to apply for a subsidy, you have to complete an online form with personal information at the main information web page of the subsidy. Afterwards, you can immediately download the repair bonus voucher from this web page. It just takes you about, I would say, 3 minutes. It's a really quick thing to do so. Afterwards, when you have downloaded the repair bonus voucher, you can redeem it within 3 weeks at one of the partner companies overall Austria. The voucher can be used for a repair and or a cost estimate of a single electrical and electronic device. And each voucher funds 50% of the repair cost, up to 200 euro per product repair, or up to 30 euro per the price of a cost estimate of a repair. The whole invoice of the repair must be paid directly at the partner company, and afterwards the amount of the subsidy will be transmitted from the administration unit for funding. This is the Kommunalkredit Public Consulting in Austria, to the customer. So the role of the partner company is the charge of the whole subsidy application process. He is in charge of it. it hands the voucher in the name of the customer, ergo the applicant of the subsidy, to the administration unit for funding. And in the last step, as I said before, the customer, the applicant, gets the fee back from this administration unit for funding. And after the voucher has been redeemed or the date of the validity of the voucher has expired, a new voucher can be requested at the web page immediately. For completeness, it should be pointed out that the last step of the just described procedure is quite new. It is the fourth point you can see at the PowerPoint slide. Due to the cases of suspected fraud, the repair bonus receives at the moment an additional safety net, and the ministry is going to introduce this slightly adapted procedure in September this year. So at the moment, it is not possible to receive the repair bonus, but in September on, it's possible again, and we are starting with fresh energy. Okay, so on the next slide, I have brought some information for you concerning data. Ever since its launch, there was, I would say, an extraordinary high demand and interest in the subsidy, as well as a lot of positive feedback on the subsidy procedure. This can be underlined with the following data. As by last month, over 670,000 repair vouchers were redeemed at one of the around 3,500 partner companies all over Austria. And furthermore, I also brought a list of the most frequently repaired devices. These are in descending order: smartphones, dishwashers, washing machines, coffee machines, laptops, refrigerators, baking oven, TVs, and so on. I have given here some more examples of the most repaired devices under the subsidy. And I was also asked to talk about the learnings. Well, that's quite hard to tackle because there were quite a lot of learnings. But I want to share 3 of them with you, because I think these could be also interesting for others who are planning other financial incentives for repair in Austria and other countrysides. So I would say, coming to the design phase, build on existing experiences and ask for feedback. In early design phase of the subsidy, it was really so rewarding for us to organize workshops with stakeholders such as the Austrian Bundesländer, legal interest groups, other multipliers, and all the relevant departments in my ministry to gain experience and get feedback to the ministry's ideas of procedure and contents for the repair bonus. This was so rewarding for us. The second point I brought with me is that information materials are really essential for all the people out there. But we experienced that workshops are even better for partner companies. So the administration unit for funding offered training units for partner companies and provided them with overall and deeper information, for instance, on the concrete subsidy application process steps. This was highly welcomed from the partner companies. And I think this made a successful launch even more possible, because all the partner companies already knew how the subsidy functioned and could provide perfect information for her customers at the beginning and even before the launch happened of the repair bonus. And last but not least, I would say, when it comes to financial incentives for repair, it is important to have creative and entertaining approaches for your maybe information campaigns if you want to present and do something with that, because this raises interest in a totally another level, and people get aware of such an important topic with creative, entertaining approaches without knowing, okay, this is a subsidy, and get attracted for the topic as a whole. So thank you very much. This was my presentation on the repair bonus. And I'm looking for questions afterwards.
Thanks a lot to you. And yeah, if you have any questions on that, you can directly post them into the questions and answers section, and we will post these questions later in the webinar. Because now we will proceed to Janet Rieck from the Verbraucherzentrale or Consumer Organization in Thüringen, as the state of Germany. The consumer organization is actually implementing the repair bonus in Thüringen, so we can learn a lot today, I guess. So yeah, Janet Rieck, in 7 minutes, how do repair incentives work in Thüringen, and what lessons have you already learned since the creation?
Yes, hello everybody. I'm the Clark from the Reparaturnbonus Thüringen, and I would like to start my presentation. Wait a moment, please. So I hope you can see it.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So, why a repair bonus and why do we care? The global amount of e-waste is increasing at an alarming rate of almost 2 million tons per year. In 2014, it was 44, in 2019, 55, and in 2030, it is expected to be 75 million tons. What is in such an abstract graph? These are all products that were manufactured. Raw materials were used, the environment was polluted, rare earths were mined under inhuman conditions. Fresh water was consumed and huge amounts of greenhouse gases were emitted, which fuel climate change. Okay, what is the good news? We can reduce these mountains of e-waste. What gets repaired doesn't have to be bought new. Only 22% of appliances that break are currently repaired. There's a lot of room for improvement here. Consumers want to repair. But what is actually the reason why consumers do not repair? The consumer organization commissioned a study. The result is clear. It is the high repair cost. 74% say that is why I have not had an appliance repaired. Some said repairs are inconvenient, or they don't want to wait, or there is a new model or lack of spare parts. 74% say it's the high cost of repairs. This hurdle is simply too high. I can get over it. A repair bonus aims to lower precisely this hurdle is so that many more people decided in favor of repair. Here you see the initiation of the Thüringen repair bonus. Anja Siegesmund, the then Thüringen environment minister, she made sure that 500,000 euros would be available for repair costs 2021 and 875,000 euros for the repair cost 2022. She is beaming as she signed the papers with Dr. Ralph Walter, Managing Director of the Consumer Organization of Thüringen. How does this repair bonus work? Imagine your mobile phone display is broken. You go to a repair shop and hear that the repair will cost 180 euros. Many people then say, oh no, that's too expensive for me, goodbye. But now it's different. You don't have to pay that much money at all. Thanks to the repair bonus, you get half of the repair cost reimbursed, up to a maximum of 100 euros. So the hurdle is lowered from 180 euros to half, to 90 euros. That's more likely to get you over the hurdle. So you have your mobile phone repaired, pay the 118 euros first. Then you apply for a repair bonus and get 19 euros for the repair bonus. So you only paid 90 euros for the repair. When the launch of the Thuringia repair bonus was announced in 2021, it struck a nerve. There was a veritable rush to repair workshops. Repairs were carried out everywhere in Thuringia, and we received laundry basket full of applications for the repair bonus. The interest of consumers and the media was enormous. This success was continued with the 2022 repair bonus. Now there was a digital application and the promotion of the repairs in repair cafes. What were the results of the repair bonus? The repair bonus is an incentive for repairs. How do we get there? With the repair bonus, repair bills for mobile phones were submitted most frequently. Washing machines, dishwashers, coffee machines, as well as electric cookers and PCs, laptops follow at a considerable distance. Our number one repairs usually not the most frequently repaired applications. A study commissioned by Wertegarantie found that normally without a repair bonus, consumers most often have defective PCs and kitchen machines repaired. Our number one IT mobile phones are not repaired as often and tend to be in the middle of the pack. The repair bonus led to more repairs for mobile phones. On average, a repair costs 118 euros and an average repair bonus of 75 euros was paid out. 17,773 electrical appliances were repaired. This means that resources were saved 17,773 times. The environment was protected and the climate was saved. The repairs were carried out almost exclusively by repair businesses in Thuringia. This creates regional added value. Repairs with a total volume of over 3 million euros were subsidized. And last but not least, there was a countless positive feedback from consumers in Thuringia and repair businesses. Here are some typical pieces of feedback. Thank you so much. Repairs are so expensive without the grant, and I wouldn't have it without the grant, and I wouldn't have had it repaired. The repair bonus has increased the number of repairs and the turnover in our company by a third. I love my washing machine, and the fact that the repair is supported in this way is awesome and really the most sustainable thing. The project also inspires others. In 2022, there was also a repair bonus in Leipzig, Germany. Here too, the project was a success. A survey of participants showed that around 40% of them were motivated by the repair bonus to carry out additional repairs. And it was mainly households with lower incomes that were reached. That all sounds terrifying, but there's much more to be done. It must be easier to repair equipment. This starts with the design, and of course, the spare parts have to be available. The German consumer organizations demand that the right to repair must not become a deceptive package. Sorry. The right to repair needs a repair bonus. The manufacturers must participate in repair cost. France lead the way. Manufacturers must be obligated to provide consumers with repair information. A repair index must be introduced throughout Europe. What is happening in Thuringia in the meantime? Here you can see our new Environment Minister Bernhard Stengeler signing the papers for the current repair bonus in Thuringia, continuing the success story. Thank you for dedicating yourselves to the solutions, talking about them and putting them out into the world, and so inspiring others, because it's the solution and the doing that counts. Thank you.
Thanks a lot to you, and thanks a lot for all these insights. Also to this presentation, if you have questions or answers, put them in the Q&A section. And I heard that you couldn't see the Q&A section yet, like you couldn't see the questions that the others posed. Now you should see them, and you can also upload them if you think they are interesting. So now we will continue the last example of which we will hear today. Laetitia Vasseur, co-founder of the organization Ordre à l'obsolescence programmée, will present us how the French Repair Fund works. And the same questions as to the other two speakers to you. In 2 sentences, how do repair incentives work, and what lessons have you already learned?
Yeah, thank you for organizing this very interesting talk now. I will talk about this French mandatory bonus that we won also in France, in a different way of the other countries that I heard. We wanted to get a bonus in France with this fund in order that people can repair more easily, because like we saw before, in France it's exactly the same. 70% of the people don't repair because of the cost of repair. So it has to be something we need to tackle. And at the same time, there is this question of trust. People don't repair sometimes because they don't trust reparator, and because they don't know where to go, they don't have this information. And also because sometimes products are not repairable at all. That's why we fight also for planned obsolescence. But with this new fund that we get since December, last December, so it's not, it's a half year of appliance now. We can observe 52,000 products that have been repaired, and it's been around 1.2 million euros spent on this fund, and it's thanks to 1,600 repair shops that are part of a label, because to get this bonus for a consumer, you need to go to a reparator that is part of a label, because this label is made in order to get this trust that we want. So you have to know also that we fight as an NGO for this fund, but it's in the law, so it's an obligation to do it, but it's an organization that is governed by manufacturers that is in charge of making it happen. But it's with the responsibility of the state. So it's a bit complicated, but it's because who pay for this fund, it's as manufacturers. It's not from the public fund. It's with this system of who the manufacturer has, they are polluted with these products that they build and they sell. Then they have to pay to like a cost, or because of the cost of environmental cost, to care about what happened with the product when they sell it. So they have to care about recycling, and now they also have to care about reparation. And there is another things for reuse, but it's something different. So they collect this money and they give it back to reparator, who are a member of this label of trust. And for the consumer, it's really easy. The consumer go with a smartphone or whatever he needs to repair. He go to the repair shop that is part of this label, and he have a fixed price of reduction of discount that is applied directly to the bill. So if it's the cost was 50 euros, is 25 euros less for a smartphone, he will pay only 25 euros. And he had nothing to demonstrate or anything. It's really easy for the consumer, because the goal is that the consumer to make it more easier for them. But then the reparator can go back to the fund, showing the bill and the reparation act, and then he gets money back from this organizations that collect all the money of the manufacturers. So I hope it's clear. Then to give an example, a vacuum cleaner is around 15 euros. It might go up to 20 because we made lobbying to make this price up, this bonus bigger, to make it more efficient. Also, computer, it's 45 euros for now. Smartphone is 25 euros. Washing machine is 25 euros. But we claim to make this price higher because we think that it's not enough efficient. For instance, we claim for 65 euros for washing machine or 85 euros for a TV instead of 30 today. And why? How do we calculate this price that we think it's fair? It's because there is one study in France that showed that if the cost of repair is higher than 30% of the price of a new product, the person will make the choice to replace and not to repair. Because if it look one option towards another, he will think it's better for me to replace. So we try to calculate with this dimension the fair price. And the government have heard what we said, and now they will try to make it better. And we will have the final price in October, because now we have price, but it might go up in October. Because the total deal of the total money we can spend for this bonus at the global level, it's 60 million euros at the end of the year. So now we spend much less, and we have a lot of money to spend for the repair bonus. So we try to know to see how it can be more efficient. And also, I said we have 1,600 repair shop. We would like to get 4,000. So it's really important that each French people can find a reparator very close to his house. Otherwise, he will not repair neither. Also, we are claiming that the states take a bigger part and a bigger responsibility about this fund, because, like I said, it's now this organization of manufacturers, but sometimes their interest is not exactly the same as the public interest and the interest of reparation. So there is like a fight of interest sometimes, and we would like that the state is taking bigger part of the application of this fund. We also we try to tackle difficulties that it's now to repair your product. Sometimes the reparator will say no, because there is some criteria, and some criteria are difficult, and it will not allow you to repair with the bonus, and we think that it should. So, for instance, we tried to repair a vacuum cleaner, and it was an essential spare part that was broken, and the bonus say, the system say, if it's a spare part, we can't repair. We just repair like the motor or something in the vacuum cleaner, but not the essential part piece. And this is a big problem, because if I don't have this spare part, I can't use it anymore. Also, we have in this fund discount for a small electronic device, but we realize that even if we have this bonus, we can't actually repair these products, because they are quite cheap, and we don't have spare parts, or they are not repairable at all. So we have a bonus, but we can't repair them. It's a bit a problem. And so we would like more study and to tackle this problem of small electronic device. And also we need a bigger communication, because a lot of French people, most of the French people can use this bonus, but don't know, just they don't know about it. So we need lots of communication. And maybe also to finish, we also see that probably there are not enough repair shop in France, reparator at all. They need training. We need more job in this sector. And for now, there is not enough training for them. Also, we observe in France that smartphone and washing machine are the products that are more repaired, but we didn't analyze exactly why. Maybe because it's more difficult to move, like a wash machine, maybe because there is more reparator around us that can make it, or sometimes also because smartphone or wash machine can be a bit expensive, so it's more affordable to repair, and even more with the fund. Yeah, just to finish, I would like to say that it's really important to repair and to help people repairing. We try to claim and to make it even better in France, but now we also obtain the mandatory durability index that will arrive in 2024 in France. And this will be really interesting, because at least people don't have to, if they can choose better products that will last longer, they will not have to repair it at all. So they will save even more money, and the fund also. So we are happy about this news, and we could make a next webinar about it to explain this good news maybe. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. There's enough material for next webinar. Thanks a lot for your experiences. And now, yeah, with all these experiences that we've heard about, we are very happy that René Repasi is here, who is the rapporteur for the right to repair proposal, and who already put forward yeah, a draft report of how he wants to see the right to repair in the European Union. And there's also a hint to financial incentives for repair, and he will explain this now. So, Mr. Repasi, what can we learn from these national experiences, and what are you proposing at the European Union level?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for organizing this very interesting webinar. I think also very important and very timely, since it basically goes to the core of the issue. There is so much we can do by means of legislation. I think it was also already mentioned by Jan Hendrik about the issues of availability of spare parts, accessibility, all the matters that define price. That is something where we can do something about regulation, but ultimately the point of repair is that it must be accessible for everybody. And the examples were mentioned that a price seems to be prohibitively high, so that either you say whatever, I throw it away and I buy a new product, or you try to do it yourself and then not up to standards. There are multiple ways, but the whole point of the right to repair is that we have a product which is actually still fine, and after the expiry of the legal guarantee period, from that moment on, repair is in competition with a new product, which is very expensive. So to make repair accessible for those who cannot afford to have a new product is core to the success of the right to repair. So we can do as many incentives, we can put as many incentives into this directive as we want to, be it during the legal guarantee period, be it afterwards. We can try to liberalize the independent repair market as much as possible, give better access to spare parts, try to push the prices for spare parts to reasonable levels. We can even have a discussion whether 3D printing can bring us spare parts, and then we have afterwards a discussion whether a product is still safe enough or not. We can have all those discussions, but ultimately when it boils down is where do we have the social function of access to repair for those people that cannot afford it? And that makes it that there is a role for the public finance to play in order to promote repair. I mean, we are talking about huge amounts of money. Jan Hendrik was mentioning with the examples that we had in Thüringen. We have seen the examples from Austria. So it's not huge amounts of money that we are speaking about, but small amounts that can have a huge impact. If, let's say, if the repair of small products is more and more promoted and made use of, then we are getting into a real circular economy where things are not just thrown away, but the lifespan is prolonged. So I do therefore think that measures of member states promoting repair are core. The Commission proposal was at best ignorant about this very fact. And that was the reason why in my draft report, I included now a new article, Article 9a, on measures promoting repair. This article says that member states have a legal obligation. They shall adopt appropriate measures to promote repair. And in a subparagraph 2, I'm referring to examples that we have discussed here. So those measures that I'm referring to may, for example, take the form of repair vouchers, national repair funds, or other measures and incentives. In order to get member states to do something, we want them to report to the Commission on the measures that they have taken in order to promote repair, and make this, and the Commission shall make this report public so that we see that something is happening. So we have an obligation for member states to adopt those. I do not think that the directive is the right place to go them more into depth. We can give them some ideas where they should go to, and legal obligation that they should actually do this. But for the rest, it is within the autonomy of the member state to choose for the model that is appropriate or various other models that are appropriate. So this is the one element. The other element that is also mentioned in that the EU can also do something. It is about financial support by the EU. We heard it about the Austrian scheme. And it is also that the VAT law is EU law, and we have the privilege for certain kind of repair services for the reduced VAT tariff in the VAT directive. And if we want to make the whole system round, the European Union should also propose a change to the annex of the VAT directive to extend the scope of the reduced VAT tariff for all sorts of repair services. In that part, we also make it cheaper for the consumer in order to pay for the repair, in addition to measures promoting it. And I think then the whole system becomes round. So I'm very grateful for these very positive examples that we're talking here about. And let's say my wish would be that if we have this directive implemented with the article that I proposed, that in a webinar in 1 year time or 2 years time, we are not only going to have Austrian, German, and French examples, but examples from all over Europe and all over European regions that come up with new different schemes with precisely that goal, to use little money in order to get a big effect, which is promoting the repair of used goods. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Rapasi, for this outlook and for the summary of your suggestions. Mr. Rapasi needs to leave at about 5 p.m. So to be able to have some of the Q&A, the questions posted in the Q&A section that were referred to you, Mr. Rapasi, I would like to pose one of them at least. And the question is that the initiative needs to refer to the whole European Economic Area. So it should include also Iceland, Norway, and Liechtenstein, in addition to the European Union member states. It needs to refer to the common market where it would be implemented. Yeah, so maybe you could briefly say what's your opinion on this? How could financial incentives for repair be extended to the whole European Economic Area?
The thing is that at least parts of that the EA is part of the internal market, so the or the single market, or however you want to call it, and that there is at the end of the legislative process normally an extension of secondary law to EEA countries, which then should implement a directive international law, and that would then also include measures promoting repair. The situation in EEA law is slightly different than EU law. We all know this, so I don't want to go into those details. But normally, internal market legislation is extended to the EEA, and the same holds true for the VAT directive in that regard. So therefore, we can extend the thinking that we have for the internal market to the EEA, and normally, as I said, for internal market legislation, this is done and this is the case. And that refers then, of course, back to how the members, if we are talking about measures to promote repair, how EEA countries are then implementing these promoting measures. But in principle, the idea is indeed to extend it to the EEA.
Hey, thanks a lot for this reply. And there was another question posted in the chat, and that is it conceivable that there will be a European-wide repair subsidy similar to agriculture?
Similar to agriculture, I mean, then we are not talking about small amounts anymore. Eh? Then we are talking about huge amounts. And let's say for the time being, I also don't think that it is necessary to have a comparable amount as agriculture in there. To have a direct subsidy, let's say, I'm not entirely sure whether a direct subsidy makes too much sense. I mean, a direct subsidy would mean that for each and every repair, you would have to ask the European Commission to approve it in such a scheme. It makes more sense to actually use a model like in Austria, and maybe Birgit Horvath could reiterate how it works there, that we have a financial support from the EU funds for national schemes, so that it makes it financially viable for the national schemes to make use of EU funds, but then within the scheme that they are programming. I think that is the most efficient use. And here, I think that we are going to renegotiate our funding lines in the next legislative period for the next financing period, so in the year 2026. And then that is certainly a point to take up. So there are two instances, as I said, VAT legislation is one, and the other one could be to look at the direct funding line, which makes it a more easy for national schemes to have access to. So in that regard, I think it would be interesting indeed to hear also from Ms. Horvath what the experiences are to actually acquire EU funds, and whether there's anything that would make the life for national schemes easier to have access to EU funds.
Yeah, then maybe we can take the occasion before you have to leave. Ms. Horvath, do you want to talk a bit about your experiences with this?
Hello, yes, of course. I'm working in the department for waste prevention. We are not a funding department, so I couldn't answer properly to this question. All I can say is that also coming back to the question in the chat, where someone asked from where the funding is coming. So all the funding of the repair bonus subsidy is coming directly from the EU Recovery Fund, Next Generation EU, and for that the Austrian government has designed the Austrian Recovery and Resilience Plan, and in there it was decided to build up such an subsidy for like the repair bonus system.
Yeah, thanks a lot for explaining. And on this occasion, also thanks a lot, Mr. Repasi, for taking the time in busy times in Brussels. And already now a little goodbye, because I guess you need to leave while Anna Cavazzini is talking. Welcome, Anna. She joined us a bit later. So before you came, we heard about the German, like the Turing example and the Austrian example of the repair bonus. And we heard about, I can't summarize it all, but just a brief summary for you. We heard about the positive feedback that both models got from consumers as well as from companies, and also from the high demand actually that was there for the repair funds. We also heard that it supported local value creation already, and that the repair bonuses are often used for devices that are, according to statistics, normally not so much repaired, because it's very burdensome to repair them. And from the experiences, we also heard that it's very important to make aware of the possibility, not only consumers, but also to provide trainings to companies who are concerned and who could actually use the repair bonus. and also that there are additional measures necessary to have a proper right to repair. Yeah, with this little background, now the question to you, what can we learn from these national experiences and what do you want to see at the European Union level?
Yeah, thank you so much also for the invitation and for the very interesting webinar. As you said, I joined a little bit late and I also have to run at 5 because we still have committee meetings. So I'm between committee work and forth. I guess for my colleagues, René Repassi and Anne-Sophie Pelletier, it's the same. So I'm very sorry for that, but my team is here. And they're also, of course, writing everything down and every interesting idea we will, of course, also take up. But again, already sorry, I have to run out again to my committee. But yeah, I have two thoughts that I want to share with you. One is basically on these general subsidies, however you call it. I think it is really so important, like in a lot of other fields, that some member states go ahead, because what we see a lot, and I guess all of my colleagues who are with me in the internal market committee know that every time when there is some national actions in some member states, then also probably the Commission wakes up and we in the European Parliament wake up and are like, okay, this is actually something we could take up on European level. This is also something that could prevent a fragmentation of the internal market. So I think it's really, really important that we have so interesting, exciting examples from member state level, even from regional level. When I talk, for example, in Germany about the Thuringia Repairabonus, I'm always very enthusiastic and I think it's absolutely a great idea. Nevertheless, I have to say I find the French model a little bit more interesting because, for example, a lot of repairers tell me, and I think it's also, of course, true, why should at the end a taxpayer again subsidize the income of companies when they kind of design the products in a way that they break so easy or that you cannot repair them. And I think a model where you basically use a little bit also the leverage that companies can pay and then finance basically the repair is, for me, I would say, a more interesting and more just model than probably just giving taxpayers money. But nevertheless, I think the Thuringia model is really, really great and super important in order to start. But I think it's interesting to think a little bit more about producer responsibility when it comes to financing. Yeah, and the second point, and also René and a lot of others of you mentioned it already, of course, it is not only about the direct subsidy, it's also, of course, about the whole ecosystem of legislation. And this is actually what we're trying at the moment in the European Parliament, not only with eco-design or other pieces of legislation, but of course with also our famous right to repair proposal that we're just really negotiating, drafting at the moment. So how to make sure that we break also some of the monopolies that create these big prices and have more competition in the market that will also lead to lower prices at the end. And next to what has been already proposed by the Commission, for example, we as Greens are really thinking about putting forward this idea of the extended legal guarantee in order to have a bigger incentive on companies to produce products that live longer and that can be repaired better. And this comes together with eco-design. And this will, at the end, of course, also hopefully influence the price of repair and spare parts. So this would be from my side. Again, sorry, I have to run back to the committee if there's one quick question, but I'm sure also my colleague Anne-Sophie Pelletier can answer everything because we're negotiating together.
Hey, yeah, thanks a lot. Maybe a quick question to my colleagues. Is there a question who are like observing the Q&A section? Is there any question already to Anna Cavazzini? Otherwise, I'll also quickly scan it. Maybe I'll put one. Why is the current right to repair discussion mostly limited to consumer goods and then mostly electronic goods? Here, a strong input would be to include also business to business and public procurement, as they are responsible for larger e-waste and not putting the focus away from consumer goods, of course.
This was a question?
Yes. So
Yeah,
I guess the question was, what's your opinion on that?
No, I agree with it. And for example, some of the discussions we had already in the committee, for example, was exactly on expanding the scope. I mean, René in his report already expands the scope, but I think probably it can be done even further. But my feeling is also that this will not be super easy. Some reactions of the other political groups and of the Commission were really quite negative. They want to really keep it to the eco design. So I think this will be at the end a political fight, but from my political perspective, it makes sense.
Okay, then also thanks a lot to you. Thanks for taking the time despite the busy times right now. Bye. Laetitia, did you want to react to that?
Yeah, maybe just to add about the system of fund, who pay. As in France, it's the manufacturers who pay for that. It's interesting to note that also we can use this tool to modulate the tax, because as we also have a repair index in France, the manufacturers who sell products that are repairable could actually pay less tax. It will be also more fair that the producer that put on the market products that are not repairable have to pay more, maybe to help people to repair, even if you also need that products are more repairable to be able to repair, but then they have to pay more tax to help the global system. And this could be something to encourage manufacturers to produce better in a more repairable way.
Thanks a lot for this input. Yeah, and now we come to Anne-Sophie Pelletier, who also is the shadow rapporteur for the Rare to Repair file. So also thanks to you for taking the time. And the same question as to Anna Cavazzini now to you. What can we learn from the national initiative that we heard about today? Yeah, and what do you want to see at the European Union level?
So thank you so much first for this invitation. I think we have spoken about a very important subject, and we know that, and we say all that repairs are more environmentally friendly, but in many cases they are still too expensive, and it is a real problem for consumers that don't want to repair because it is more expensive than a new product. So since 26 in France, manufacturers of electrical and electronic equipment have been subject to extend producer responsibility. This means that companies must pay an eco contribution to cover the collection and recycling of the waste they generate. This repair fund is part inspired measures introduced by the Anti-Waste and Circular Economy Act of 2020. It is intended to encourage the repair of products that are out of guarantee by covering part of the cost of repairs via a repair fund, like Laetitia spoke just before, financed by manufacturers. And for the time being, this only applies to products subject to a repairability index, such as washing machine, television, smartphone, computers, and lawn mowers, toys, sports, and leisure goods items will gradually be included in 2027. The fund is a kind of kitty financed by manufacturers. It will provide financial assistance to repair carried out at Quali Repair approved repairers. It is the repairer who will then have to take steps to recover the amount of the reduction from the organization that manages the fund. Sorry for my English, I'm French, so sorry for my English. France has also had a repairability index in place since 2021 to be supplemented by a durability index in 2024. And I think that this reparability index can fight against obsolescence programmée, obsolescence, I think, you know. And it is, I think, a best thing for consumer, because we have had so many texts: eco-design, empowering consumer to the green transition, textile durable, and at each time we see that this text is very important. Like René said before, we have to speak about spare parts, because if you want that people repair their products, you have to have spare parts affordable, and in a limited time for me. Because if you take the example of a young mom, and she needs to have a washing machine, maybe she has 3 or 4 children, she can't wait for repair. So we need effectively spare parts affordable and in a time fast time. The first thing for me. And what we learn about example of France? Well, first of all, that it is possible to do that. It is possible. It is entirely possible to step up funds paid for the producer to help consumer repair their goods. It is simpler and cheaper than before. The results have been excellent, with an improvement in the repair rates for household electrical goods since the fund was set up. The good news is that we can hope for the same thing in EU level, with results on a much larger scale. European Repair Fund is a reparability index, and increasingly wide product coverage promise very good results. And I just want to finish, because you know we are making a law to consumer to have right to repair your product. Okay, you, me, and I think many citizens saw that they can do that before. No, really? Not really, because we are writing a text to have right to repair. Right to repair. We are in 2023, and if we think about Earth, about ecology transition, waste, electronic waste, and everything like that, it's just a good sense to have the possibility to repair your product. Good sense, normally. So I hope that we would be very ambitious, because when you see the crisis around the European Union, when you see that the price of electricity, when you see what happens around the European Union, to repair is more, it is more pouvoir d'achat.
It's financially empowering.
Financially empowering for consumers, and I think they need that, and they want that. We can see around the European Union that citizens want that, because they have understood that for ecology transition we have no choice. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot to you. And Ms. Cloutier will also stay with us until the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions or comments, just put it into the Q&A section. Now we will proceed with Eduardo Bodo. He's a policy officer at RIUS. And RIUS is also a member of the Right to Repair Europe campaign. So Eduardo, from your perspective, how should the European Union enable member states to benefit from the experiences that we learned about today, so from France, Austria, and Germany? So how should the European Union empower to develop their own financial incentives in the other member states?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Luisa, for the floor, and also my sincere thanks to the speakers for their very useful insights, and to all of you attending for staying with us until now. So yeah, I'll be quick in introducing myself. As Luisa said correctly, I'm the Environment Policy Officer of Reuse, and we represent almost 1,000 social enterprises active in the circular economy throughout the EU. And since this year, the beginning of this year, I'm also proud to represent the voices of social enterprises in the Right to Repair campaign. And this campaign is made by very different stakeholders, ranging from refurbishers and repairers of all sides to us, social enterprises, to environmental NGOs. But we are united in the common fight to make products last longer and remove all the barriers to repair. And indeed, I think that the topic that we are discussing today is particularly important, because this is really the elephant in the room that we are addressing, which is the affordability of repair. The issue is that repair takes labor, and labor means resources in terms of money and time. So repair has a higher cost than replacement, at least in the beginning, because I'm sure you'll be familiar with the saying, buy cheap, buy twice, meaning that eventually a more durable and repairable product is the better choice over the long run. But unfortunately, we need to act and make repair the better choice now. And here is where I think that repair vouchers have a key role to play. And this, unfortunately, as many speakers pointed out, was completely ignored in the proposal by the Commission. So it's great to see that there's interest in the European Parliament in improving this legislation, because affordability of repair, as the other speakers have pointed out, is indeed the most important issue for repairers, but also for consumers, according to recent Eurobarometers, which you may have seen before. So as the Right to Repair campaign, we believe that this proposal should really include a framework for member states to establish financial incentives. We have concrete examples, data, and success stories that we have heard just now. But I want to point out that this is much more than just an incentive for consumers, because this is an incentive for less waste, less emissions, but also an incentive for economic benefits, more local jobs, and more local jobs, and also a more environmentally friendly way, easier transition to a circular economy. And this is particularly important for critical raw materials that are crucial for the future of the EU and also its strategic autonomy. So I really think that this is something that should be quoted. To conclude, I really think that the introduction of repair bonuses would be a major step forward from a throwaway society and towards a real culture of repair and a more circular economy. And if this is not addressed in the final text, I think the objective of the proposal to increase repair and reuse will remain just that, just an objective. And I really think we can and should do better. So thanks a lot, Luisa, for giving me the floor, and I'll give the floor back to you. And thank to all of you for the attention.
Yeah, thanks a lot to you. And yeah, also as for the others, if there are any questions on this, just put it in the Q&A section. Speaking of this, now we have the time to actually pick up some of the Q&A, the questions in the Q&A sections coming from the audience. So also thanks a lot to all the speakers who are still with us to answer to these questions. The first question that we would like to pick up is actually to all the representatives of the national repair funding schemes. It's are there any eligibility requirements for repairers to be part of the schemes and to get repairs funded? Who decides? What is the onboarding process? Are they contacted, or are they also able to reach out and ask to join? Yes, maybe just give a brief overview of how this works. Who wants to start? Ticia, maybe you want to start because I think it's a bit different in France, and you also touched upon it already.
Yeah, I can start, but can you just repeat the question?
Yes, we can also post it in the chat so that you can read it. It's, are there any eligibility requirements for repairers to be part of the funding schemes and to get repairs funded? And who decides who is part, who can actually receive a repair bonus, like related to the repair shops?
Yeah, thank you to repeat. So for the consumer, it's simple. It's open to everyone. There is no condition for just that your product is answer to the criteria to be repairable in this fund. For the reparator, they can apply. They can offer this bonus if they are part of the label Cali Repar. And this label is given to the repairs that apply for it if they answer some criteria that are decided by the manufacturers that are part of this organization of it's eco-organism that care about all the end of life of products. So it's not directly manufacturers, but they have the power in this organization. And but it has been done quite well, thinking a lot of what can be the good condition, and they ask also shareholders their opinion. Maybe not enough, but still they have done. And some criteria like basic professional competencies, but also warranty. They have to be able to guarantee their reparation during 3 months. It has to be for all kind of products. It cannot be just products that you sell as a seller, if you have a shop and also you do reparation. It cannot be only the product that you sell yourself. It have to be in all kind of products. Different kind of criteria. And one thing that it's important that it's finally we observe that for independent reparator that sometimes work alone or are small shops, it can be quite difficult because they have first of all to apply for this label, and then they have to ask for the fund to have the money back. It can be a little bit tricky for them. And there is a lot of bureaucracy also now to apply to this label, but the government heard all these problems and is trying to make it much more easier for independent reparator to apply, because it's really important. We don't want that only big sellers can offer this repair fund. We want each independent reparator at the heart of the village can make it for people. So it's a good balance to find, to trust the reparators that are in the label, but to don't make the label too hard to get for independent reparator.
Hey, thanks a lot. Ms. Horvath or Ms. Rieck, do you want to explain how repair shops or other repairers can actually work with the fund, whether they need to fulfill any criteria to be able to do so?
Yes, thank you for the question. So in Austria, it's that 4 specific types of partner companies can apply for the repair bonus program. These are repairers, manufacturers, retail companies, and also social enterprises. And if they want to do so, they have to fulfill specific conditions to be part of the repair bonus system in Austria. Such, for instance, they have to have a location in Austria. They have to guarantee specific licenses to guarantee a high quality work of repairing the electrical and electronic devices. and they have to agree on other certain conditions. To do so, they have to sign a contract, and with that, they can be part of the Repairabonus program.
Thanks a lot for this explanation. Ms. Riek, do you want to add to this?
Can you help me with the English language, please? Yes. Die Frage war ja, inwieweit die Betriebe dann profitieren von dem Programm, richtig? Oder?
Ja, ob die Betriebe bestimmte Voraussetzungen erfüllen müssen, um den Bonus auszahlen zu können. Genau.
Ach so, also bei uns ist so, die Verbraucher können wirklich zu jedem Betrieb gehen, zu dem sie gehen wollen, und wir haben da jetzt keine speziellen Voraussetzungen, und es sind wirklich Betriebe, die wirklich auch darauf hinweisen, dass es diesen Reparaturbonus bei uns gibt, und dadurch bekommen die wahrscheinlich auch teilweise mehr Aufträge. Also bei uns gibt es aber jetzt keine speziellen Voraussetzungen, die jetzt sagen, nur dieser Betrieb darf jetzt daran teilnehmen.
Dankeschön.
Danke
So
auch.
I will quickly translate. So actually in Thüringen, there are no special requirements for repair shops that they need to fulfill, but it's rather that they also make advertisement for the repair fund, and also say that they profit from it because they get more more orders in case they advertise for the repair fund. Yeah, so thanks for this. The next question is also to the national representatives. Just answer in case you want. And the question is, do you calculate the local employment and income multipliers of your schemes in Thüringen, Austria, and France? I'll also put it in the chat. Any volunteer for this question? Or is it maybe just
Wenn ich kurz darf, ja. Genau, also genau kann ich es jetzt nicht sagen, ob wir das machen, aber ich würde eher sagen, nein. Also wir führen zwar Statistik, wie viel genehmigt werden, abgelehnt werden und so weiter, aber dass wir jetzt speziell irgendwelche Mitarbeiter weiß nicht, was ist, fördern oder schreiben oder kalkulieren. Ich glaube, das machen wir jetzt direkt nicht in Thüringen. Danke fürs Übersetzen.
So there are quite some statistics that are taken in Thüringen, but this specific one, to her knowledge, not yet. So not like counting the employees, who they profit from it or where employment is created. Are there any further reactions by national representatives? Otherwise, we would continue with another question.
Just to, because talk about France also, it's the same. It's the system is quite new, and for now we don't have this data, but we are making a study. Maybe we could have more information in autumn. And also we ask the government to make such a study, because it's really important, as we actually want more reparator and more circular economy. So it's part of the intention, but we don't have the data yet.
Okay, thanks a lot. And now we have another question to Ms. Pelletier, and it's the currently proposed European Union repairability score lacks the price of spare parts in its criteria. And we observe a general lack of an affordability angle in eco-design legislation. So how to tackle the affordability of repair in the present proposal? I will also post the question in the chat so that you can read it. Ms. Pelletier, are you still with us? Yeah, otherwise I'll continue. We have enough questions, so
sorry, Louisa, you speak, it is Mrs. Pelletier, you speak for me?
Yes, there was a question to you in the chat. I also
sorry, because I don't understand what you say, so can you please repeat the question? Mm-hmm. Sorry.
No problem. I also sent it to you via the chat in Zoom. And it's the currently proposed European Union repairability score lacks the price of spare parts in its criteria. So yeah, the price of spare parts does not play any role when the repairability score says whether a product is repairable or not, easily repairable or not. And the question is that we observe a general lack of an affordability angle in eco-design legislation. So how to tackle affordability of repair in the current proposal for the right to repair?
Okay, I will try to answer because my English, I don't speak very well, but I don't understand very well. So look, for affordable parts, I repeat, for me, it's a big issue because because if you don't have that, consumer will continue to buy another product because to repair is more expensive than to buy another one new. But it is not good for them, not good for the planet. So I think that's the most important issue to repair a product. It is to have space parts.
Affordable spare parts.
Affordable space parts. First. The second, I will repeat, no problem, but the second thing, they have to be in a limit time, because if you need to repair your product, you know, maybe sometimes you don't have time to wait to repair it. Okay, maybe 1 week, okay, 10 days, okay, but when it becomes to become 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, it is a real problem for people. Imagine a car, imagine a washing machine, imagine a smartphone, imagine now it's so. I will repeat that, but I will to add something because I don't had this subject before. I think that, and it is a prism we have to take attention. I think that repairing will have more jobs, more for more jobs, more employers. In France, I think maybe we can have in France. I see it's just my mind. Okay, it's not the mind. I don't know if it is the mind of my group. It's just my mind. But you know, in my country, we have professional school, and maybe we can have the idea to take a new une nouvelle section, a new section of this professional school to learn to people how to repair, because now we have to be very honest. It is souvent geek people who repair. We have to be honest. So maybe we can speak about employers, new jobs, new qualification to repair products, and I think it answer to the question, or do you need more words, more things? I think
you perfectly answered the question. Thank you so much. Then before we end this webinar, another last question to Eduardo. It was asked in the chat, with the proposed European Union legislation, there could be an issue when a product is cheap to produce but expensive to repair, such as often for cell phones. And in this instance, a company may choose to lower their price or even push trade-in schemes to discourage consumers from repairing their products, which would cannibalize future products. Are there any discussions within the European Union that could combat this issue within the legal framework or with financial incentives? This was the question from the audience.
Yeah, I'll do my best to answer. If not, to the person who asked, feel free, to write to me if I didn't understand it correctly. I'm saying this because, I'm not a consumer law expert. But nonetheless, I do think if for trading schemes you're referring to take back, I think it's crucial that you ensure that the infrastructure for take back is is favoring reuse and repair rather than recycling, because often this take back really feeds directly into the recycling. If when you talk about trading, you're talking about very aggressive promotional campaigns, well, I think this is an important point, and I do think that there could be something in the empowering consumers or in general in the framework of the sale of goods directive. So this could be an important issue to discuss, because I know that a revision of the sale of goods directive precisely to encourage the uptake of second-hand practice is foreseen soon. But before I finish, Luis, and this will really don't take long, just wanted to answer your question, because you did ask me more specifically about how the EU can benefit from this experience in France, Austria, and Germany. And I do think that in this case, there should be a framework. I actually agree with MEP Repasi that we should not be too specific, because member states should be free to choose what scheme best applies to their situation. But I stress again that there should be something in the legislation, in the text, to give a clear signal from the EU that this is supported. And with the Right to Repair Coalition, we will be working with co-legislators, especially if someone is in the audience and would like to talk about this more, they're very welcome to reach out. But we will be working to find the right wording and the sweet spot to ensure that there is something in the text about financial incentives. Otherwise, this proposal will simply not be effective. Sorry for taking a bit more time, but yeah, I just wanted to make this clear.
Thanks a lot, and thanks, for these motivational words. Yeah, we are also coming to an end now of this webinar, and I think we all learned that there are impressive best practices and also learnings from financial incentives for repaired out there and already in the European Union, but unfortunately only in 3 member states. So we have a lot of arguments why this should be extended to all member states, and there the Right to Repair Directive and the current proposal really can help and bring us a step further, and it should make it strong. We also learned that beyond this, the Right to Repair proposal should also tackle the affordability of repair more broadly. So yeah, we hope that the European Union will take this opportunity, and because right now there is a good opportunity. And we also saw that action by national member states is also needed independently of the developments in the European Union. And also when it comes through this proposal of including financial incentives in the Right to Repair Directive, member states need to look for the learnings in of the current national financial incentives schemes when designing the details. Thanks a lot to all the speakers here. We learned a lot, and it was very interesting to get your insights. Also, thanks to the audience and for all those who posed questions. I'm sorry that we couldn't answer them all. There were simply too much. And also thanks a lot for everyone of the Right to Repair Europe campaign who organized this webinar and brought us together today. Thanks a lot and have a nice evening.